Chapter 8 deals with quantities in chemical reactions. This is one of my favorite chapters. Might not be one of your favorite chapters, though. We'll see. I skipped section 8.1. It's all about global warming and carbon dioxide and stuff, and that's all fine, but I don't think it's worth spending precious lecture time on. So we're going to jump straight to making pancakes in section 8.2. Here's a new word for you, stoichiometry. Stoichiometry. I'm not going to quiz you on the spelling or anything, but I will be using that word, and you need to have a clue about what that word means. That means when we look at the relationships between chemical quantities, whether they're moles or grams, but we look, okay, if we have 5 moles of reactant, how many moles of product? Or if we have, 5 grams of one reactant, how many grams of the other reactant do we need for this reaction to work out? So these are really, really important calculations. Chapter 8 is one of those chapters that you cannot ignore. And this is where dimensional analysis is going to come back big time. So if you haven't figured that out yet, now is a good time to figure it out. So these are central calculations to chemistry, and they're also very practical calculations. So let's look at pancakes. A chemical equation is a lot like a recipe, where if you put these two things together, this is what you get. And some equations have 3 or 4 or 5 reactants, just like some recipes have more ingredients than others. This is a very simple recipe for pancakes. It's a simplified recipe for pancakes. I wouldn't recommend doing this at home because I don't think these would be very good. The recipe I use has some other things in it, like oil, for one thing. But here's the recipe. 1 cup of flour, 2 eggs, half a teaspoon of baking powder. You do what you're supposed to do, and you get 5 pancakes. Okay? Simple enough, right? So what that recipe shows us is that if we have 2 eggs and enough of the other stuff, we could make 5 pancakes. So we can look at this as a ratio. For 2 eggs, there are 5 pancakes. There's a relationship there. If I had 4 eggs, how many pancakes could I make? I could make 10 pancakes. If I double the one, I double the other. If I had 2 dozen eggs, I could make 5 dozen pancakes. Okay? So that's a relationship that comes from the recipe. So what if we had 8 eggs and plenty of the other stuff? Because usually when you're baking, there's one ingredient that you run out of, right? It's like, well, I want to make this, but shoot, I don't have enough eggs. Oftentimes it's the eggs. You have to go to your neighbor's house and borrow them or something. That actually happens in my neighborhood. It's pretty funny. Well, let's look at this. And this can be solved with dimensional analysis. So we have a number of eggs. That's not going to work. We have a number of eggs, and we want to find out how many pancakes. We already looked, there's a relationship, 2 eggs to 5 pancakes. So we can do it this way, 8 eggs. It's that season where everybody's getting sick. Just don't sneeze on me. 8 eggs. We said we got 5 pancakes for every 2 eggs. I'm going to put those in there so that the units cancel out. That's dimensional analysis. Looking at the units to decide, do I multiply or do I divide? You put things in so that the units cancel out, and then you put the numbers in. It was 5 pancakes for every 2 eggs. It doesn't take 5 eggs to make 2 pancakes. That'd be more like an omelet or something. Be kind of weird. So then we've got 8 times 5 divided by 2, and we get 20. Blank there for a minute. The answer is right above. 20 pancakes. Everybody okay with that? We're generally okay with stuff like this because we've either made pancakes or we've seen pancakes made, and we understand these ideas. So the challenge here is that when we start talking about chemical reactions, it's really the same ideas. It's the same ideas about something strange, okay? It's like talking about aliens dating, you know. Maybe, I don't personally believe there are aliens, but we don't know what they look like. But we could talk about them going to a party and switching partners, and that makes sense to us. So don't mentally run away from me now.